Hello, and today I'm going to be making Kadhi, Gujarati style. But before I start, I'd just like to explain all the ingredients that you will need. So if we start off, you've got red chilies, you've got ginger, garlic, a lime. We'll need some natural yogurt, and also there'll be some dried curry leaves, which you can just see here. These are small dried chilies. They're cloves, cinnamon sticks. Important ingredient is the gram flour. That's the asafoetida or hing. Also, and this might be obvious to most people, but what do I normally keep in my masala double? Well, let's just run through that. You've got sugar, salt, turmeric, dal masala, rai methi, dana jiru, and that is chili powder. So those are the ingredients that we will need to make kadhi, and of course I will be making some basmati rice to go with that as well. Okay, so there's a cup full of basmati rice in here, and of course it's really important to wash it thoroughly, and I would recommend that you wash it at least 3 times, maybe 4. The more times you wash it, the more of the starch you'll get rid of. So it's important to wash the basmati rice thoroughly and change the water 3 or 4 times. Okay, so today I wanted to show you an implement that I use for crushing garlic. So here we are, there's the garlic which has had the skin taken off. Pop it in there. In fact, I could probably pop 2 in there. That then goes in there. That will come over the top. And then, I can't do this one-handed, but basically I would push that down and the crushed garlic will come out at that end. It's a really useful tool to have. Makes life a little bit easier. Preparation, they say, is everything in cooking. So what we've done so far is that I've finely chopped the chilies. I have finely grated the ginger, and the juice also is there. That's the garlic, which has now been crushed, and that's a fresh lime which has been cut into. Okay, so in preparation of making the kadhi, I'll put some yogurt in there. You can see how much. Okay, and I'm just going to put some water in here, because essentially what I'm going to be doing is making a chasse. So about half, just over half full, just depends how much quantity you want to make. You don't want this to be too thick. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand whisk it with that and make it into a fine lassi, I guess, and that'll be put into the final kadhi later on. So I've put a little bit of yogurt in here now, and what I'm going to do is to put a little bit of the gram flour into the yogurt and mix that up. So probably one, yeah, just a little bit, not too much. I think that's ample. And then what I'm going to do is to mix that up thoroughly. So as you can see, what I've done is I've thoroughly mixed the gram flour into the yogurt, and the objective is to get a fine paste that hasn't got any lumps in it. What I'm going to do next is to add approximately 1 teaspoon of turmeric and 1 teaspoon of salt to start with, and mix that in, and then I will put the other ingredients. Okay, so the chasse or the lassi that we had made earlier, what I've done is incorporated it into the mixture which had the gram flour and the yogurt, and it's already got the turmeric and some salt in there. And what I'm doing is now just thoroughly mixing that so that it is ready. Mix that for at least another minute or so. It's important that this is thoroughly mixed. I'll carry on mixing that. Also in preparation, what we've got here is a teaspoon or so of turmeric, 1 to 2 teaspoons of hing or asafoetida, and 1 teaspoon of chili powder. I've added approximately 1 to 2 tablespoons of cooking oil in there. It's sunflower oil, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the dried chilies, the cloves and the cinnamon into the warming oil. Let's just see. Don't think it's hot enough yet, but that's fine. You can see that it is sizzling slightly. That's fine. Next goes the sticks in there. It is popping a little bit. Turn the gas down a little bit. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is to put some rye methi in there. So let's get some rye and methi, and let's go ahead and put that in there. I think at least 2 of those teaspoons worth. And you can see that it's starting to pop. I think I might put a little bit more in actually. There you go. You can see that's popping nicely. Okay, and when I'm ready, I'm going to put the trio that I described to you earlier in there. I think I'm ready to do that. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now what I need to do is just give that a stir. Make sure it's all nicely mixed in there. Just let it heat up a little bit more. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the curry leaves in there. And give that a little stir as well. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is to put the chilies in there. So let's just get those, and they're going to go in first. This is the wagar, I guess. Give that a stir. Just let that cook for a second or two. Don't want to overdo it because you don't want the ingredients to burn either. So you've got to keep an eye on it and keep it stirring. Okay, and now I'm going to add the ginger and the garlic. Add those both in at the same time. I hope these go in. That's sizzling really nicely now. Okay, I'm just going to stir that for a second or two, so I'm going to turn the camera off. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the chasse, which has already got the gram flour and a little bit of turmeric in there. And this is quite critical. You don't add it all in, just put a little bit to start with, and then you'll blend the rest in later. You'll see. A little bit like that, and give it a stir. It's starting to look like Kadhi now. Give that a really good stir. I like to put lots of ingredients in this because there isn't anything else of substance in here. You've really got to go to town, you know, with the garlic and the ginger and the chilies, because that's where all the flavour is going to come from. And of course there's no onions in here, So I'm going to go ahead and add the remainder of the liquid now. So that's looking pretty good. I don't like it too thick. That's one thing I don't like, is thick kadhi. So I always like to make it a bit thin but tasty. And I'm just going to let that simmer and cook for a little while. You do have to keep an eye on it, because sometimes it can bubble up and overspill. So you've got to keep an eye on it and keep stirring it so that it doesn't do that. So I'm going to do that for a few minutes. Okay, so I've been stirring this for a few minutes now. I did add a little bit more in terms of salt, and I've already added 2 big tablespoons of sugar already, and a little bit of danajiru, about 2 teaspoons or so. Next important ingredient is going to be the juice of the lime, so I'm going to put that in there. You get the idea. I'll finish that off. The rice was ready and it's been drained, and so that's just cooling off now, and I'm still stirring the kadhi, just checking its consistency. And what I'm going to do now is I'll taste it at least a couple of times and make any adjustments. And that's really important, of course, with any cooking. So that's what I'm going to do next, is to taste it and make adjustments as needed. So ladies and gentlemen, here we have it. There's a nice bowl of steaming hot kadhi, Gujarati style. And there's the basmati rice. And actually at the front are some carrots, which I had kind of pickled. That's the only way I can describe it. But there's the consistency, you can see. It's not too thick. And that is piping hot. And it's incredibly delicious.